squatting 140 kilos.
160 please.
kilos. So.
Mate.
Guys, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know any of the people you just mentioned.
Or Andrew Tate.
You're 30 years old. Do you want kids? Have you ever considered doing only
Would you suggest that to anyone?
Yes, how much do you make as a fitness content creator?
Damn! What are you gonna ask me?
Finally, as 2 months we've been planning for this podcast, we finally delivered the mics and we're ready to go. How are we going to go about this?
It's very dramatic though.
I know, it's a bit too much.
There's like no energy
That's why, it loses
whatsoever. My head just get into it, eh?
Sorry, it's the first part, that's annoying.
Yeah, I'm about to get into it, we're into it.
Hey guys, wait.
That is so you, oh my fucking
guys,
god.
that's very
Have some
me.
mash on is like, fuck yeah.
So this has been a long time coming, and apparently you have several personal questions for me that I apparently won't be able to answer for some reason, and you were just saying, because I am not the type of person who will like shy away, but we'll see.
I love the setup, it feels like an interrogation.
So guys, this is the pilot pod with Yaz. We'll see where it takes us. We went for a lunch 2-3 months ago. How long did we stay? 4 hours just talking. We're like, no, this needs to be.
Way too long. I think the guy from the restaurant like literally made us leave.
We've been working with you for 2 years now.
Yes.
It's been a while since we caught up and we ended up 4 hours and we're like, imagine we put a phone in front of us and let it roll. So
Yeah, this always happens, eh?
after 2 months, we're here.
The mics actually arrived. Finally.
Thank you, Drew.
Nice one.
Thanks to Dickens.
Oh, Dickens. Andrew, you deal with Andrew. Love him.
Thank you, Andrew, for these mics. I feel like we're actually doing a proper podcast, which we are. So yeah, what have you been up to the past 2-3 months since we've met? We're in Feb right now. What has Yaz been up to?
So much, eh? Like September was around the month where I decided to take a bit of that break from weightlifting, which everyone was a bit shocked at, and everyone needed a really in-depth explanation about, and it took me forever to actually give an explanation because I wasn't even sure myself. But since then, I have hosted a major event, which was the World Championships in Colombia. It was in London with you guys. We didn't really actually have time to talk because we worked so much, and I think we were
Literally, we haven't even caught up about that.
No, it was like,
mad.
it was exhausting. I think it was one of the most exhausting things I've ever done in my life. I also went to Sweden to do a shoot with a new company I'm working with called Relentless Method. January, what did I do? I'm back into weightlifting training now. And in fact, you guys asked me how that was going, and I didn't even say a word, just to make sure I don't give anything away that's not filmed on camera. But training has been great. Coming back into it after months of not doing it, I don't know. I'm really excited for it because it's so different this time around. Like my whole mindset is different. The way I perceive my training is so different. My attitude, my energy, everything around my training is different. But I'm doing exactly the same thing I used to do before. I'm excited to see what this year is going to bring in terms of my athletic career. In terms of my professional career, it seems like it's going to be another incredibly busy year, but like obviously in a great way.
There.
In a great way.
Yeah, I mean, just to touch upon that, how is it in terms of the professional career? Was a break like that good?
I don't think it made a difference as such. I think it didn't give me any less or more. People would have assumed that I had more time to work, but I was still training twice a day, every day. So even though I took a break from weightlifting, I did not take a break from the gym.
Yeah.
If anything, like I found a new love for like all the accessory, bodybuilding stuff, endurance stuff.
That was funny, yeah.
Yeah.
It was so well needed. And that's why a lot of my perception of training has changed, because I touched into an area of my training that was completely untouched. And I wasn't even aware of how important that part was. So I did take a break from weightlifting, but not a break from training. I was able to do a job like hosting the World Championships because I wasn't participating.
Yeah.
So in that sense, yes, I was given an opportunity that I wouldn't have if I was participating as an athlete at that competition. And I think that opened the doors to me entering more of a hostess role in the near future, maybe. I don't know. I absolutely enjoyed it, so I hope so.
How was that as an experience?
Exhausting in a great way. I'll be saying this several times, being tired in a good way, but I have never had that experience before. I've never hosted a massive event. I'm not shy to talk on camera. I'm not shy to talk to people. I'm not shy to talk to a big crowd. So I was fully prepared to go there and be not shocked at anything.
You've always been like that, though.
Not at all.
Yes.
I remember at university, when I was doing my degree in maths and statistics,
How long
we
ago
had
was
to
that?
give, I graduated in 2017.
217. I've never heard it like that.
6 years ago now, wow.
When I had to give a presentation, like you're given an assignment and you have to present it, I used to feel sick from days before because I was going to have to present in front of my own friends. Like, these are people that I shouldn't be shy of speaking in front of. But I was so not confident about talking in front of a group. And I was just, in general, a very shy person, which sounds ridiculous because if anyone knows me now,
I can't picture that at all.
they can't picture it. Even
At
I
all.
can't picture it.
At all.
Even I'm like, how was this something I was shy to do before? Because I know how I am now, and I can't believe that that was me. And I used to get bright red. And everyone used to make fun of me because as soon as I'm about to talk, even if I want to just ask a question in class, I would go bright red. Can't bring my words out, and I'd be like, it's insane.
That's so not yes.
It's insane. But you know
Sounds
what?
like she's talking about someone
Someone
completely
completely
different.
Yeah.
And
different.
this is 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But you know what changed that for me? It was competing as an athlete. Not the more I spoke on TV or in front of crowds or anything. I think that going up on stage with not a single sound, no music, everyone just looking at you and you having to perform made me such a confident person in every aspect of my life. All of a sudden, I started to believe myself in ways that I never believed in before. I started to believe that I am good enough to be up on stage and do whatever I was doing. And people do want to listen to what I have to say, and I don't need to be shy about it. I don't need to be embarrassed that I might mess up a word here and there. I mean, we all do that. So sport, definitely. But you hear this a lot from athletes, that their sport gave them the confidence that they have now.
I think that makes sense a lot because life one is a performance, and specifically you have 3 lifts usually, so you literally have 3
Exactly.
chances of a whole year
Yes.
of training to put that training to the test. So if you do manage to perform in such a tough situation, I think you can
And
do
if you're
anything
not
then, yeah?
confident, you'll never be a good athlete. You can't be a shy person. You can't not ooze confidence when you're about to just snatch loads of weight overhead. You have to be a confident person. So I guess my sport pushed me out of my comfort zone in that area. And yes, it's just bizarre to think that this wasn't a normal thing for me.
I think even with movement, with gym, with us, okay, we don't come close to what you're doing, but when you get a sick pump at the gym, you're not going to feel like a not confident person. You feel like people coming up to you or whatever. You're not going to feel like, oh no, you're pumped, So automatically there's that confidence that I think training brings to the table.
Any type of physical activity, I think, and that's why people suggest it so much. It just helps with your self-image, self-confidence. It makes you feel better about yourself. I don't think you'll meet a person who's very physically active that's super shy. I mean, obviously there's the exceptions, but it definitely helps with your self-confidence so much.
Apart from the competitions that you were competing in on the professional side of things, I think social media played a part in your communication, your conversations. You forget that there are cameras around you. I remember when we were in London, you just whip out your phone and you're just blasting away on selfie mode. And we're
Yes.
wow, that I think plays a part.
In the beginning, when I started on social media, I would take a story of myself 20, 30 times, hate it, not post it, do it again the next day, get my hair done, my makeup done, make sure I look absolutely great on my head, and retake the shot and still not post it because it's not perfect. You can't do that. First of all, it's not your natural self. Secondly, there's no time to do that. In my industry where I need to show people my daily activities, I can't get hung up on getting ready for the gym because I need to go to the gym twice that day. I have 2 meetings. I have to do my mobility. I have to, make food prep and everything. So I can't overthink getting ready for the gym. So eventually, as time went by, I became a lot more comfortable with not being perfect, in the sense that I never thought I could be perfect, but you strive to constantly look absolutely great and talk in the best way. And then I realized that people don't even want to see that. People are okay with me messing up my words and then just correcting myself. So what? I mean, you don't need to not do that. And I think that's now the person I am, but it's definitely not the person I was a few years ago.
And to touch on this, which is, I think, quite insane, take 5-10 years ago when social media really wasn't a thing, being an athlete was being an athlete. Now I think that today you could afford not being 100% athlete, but social media is gonna, fast forward your growth in terms of a person as well.
For sure.
So I think that has really changed. And a lot of people, like you're saying, are really scared to or feel uncomfortable doing so. And a lot of athletes who are fucking good, but then when it comes to social, just not up for it,
For me personally, I was on social media before I was an athlete. So I have some core followers who have been there since the first time I tried weightlifting, which is bizarre to think about. Like, I remember talking about it on my story, saying, I'm going to give this a shot. Like, I have this weightlifting competition. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing. Let's go for it. Went to this competition, failed miserably, didn't even realize I failed miserably. Posted about it. And some people have been following me since then. For me, it always came together. It was always, I was on social media and becoming an athlete. From, when I wasn't an athlete to becoming an athlete to this journey has all been documented on my social media. So for me, it was a bit easier in that sense that it all happened hand in hand.
Yeah.
It never happened separately. I wasn't an athlete first and then tried to make it on social media.
You naturally communicated a story, a process.
Exactly. I literally documented my story. And I think that's why my story might be a bit different than other athletes. I like to touch up on it because a lot of people are a bit confused as to why an athlete who is not the world's first ranked. In fact, I'll be considered quite an average athlete on the international standard. I'm still quite widely followed, and I'm still considered an inspiration, which for me is, again, quite bizarre.
But we need to touch on that because you started weightlifting at 22?
22.
Like, come on.
I know, but I mean...
That's insane.
It is. Sometimes I sit and think about what I've done, and I just think, how was I not discouraged? Because... would you suggest that to anyone?
22.
Would you suggest to a Maltese person, so in a country where sport isn't like a well-funded, we're going to pay you loads type of thing, started from nothing, had a degree in maths and statistics. My career was like just taking off. Just taking off. I had a great career path ahead of me. Decided I want to weightlift. Did my first competition, failed miserably. Ranked by far last on the Maltese rankings. How did no one completely discourage me? And then when I look back, I do think, okay, maybe some people were trying to give me signs as to, you're absolutely insane. What are you doing? Like, I remember when I spoke to my dad about it, and then I said, listen, I'm going to give training a go. I'm going to see where this takes me. He's like, yes, do it for the summer. And then start looking for a job.
Okay.
So in his head, he was like, she's mad.
Hobby.
Do it for the summer. Take your 3 months off.
It.
Eventually, when I qualified, during that summer, I qualified for my first international. Everyone was still very cautious. All the way up until I went to the Olympics, people were cautious in Malta. They would always talk to me in a way where they're like, are you sure you're okay with throwing absolutely everything into this? Because I had no job, no money, nothing really set for my future. And many times, even I remember Jake would tell me, he'd be like, listen, I know you absolutely love what you're doing and you're great at what you're doing, but I'm scared you're going to come to a point where you have no plan for your future. And it was true. It was like, what am I going to do after this? And I don't think everyone truly... including myself, truly believe that I would make a career out of this. Because it's unheard of, especially locally. I mean, how many people are signed with, how many people are making money from being signed with an international global brand? I don't think many people are locally. So I was doing...
I don't know anyone apart from you, yes.
I was touching up on things that had never been done. And I don't know, in a way I was a bit like, will this happen? If it's going to happen, it's going to happen to me. Who am I? Like, why would it happen to me? Has no one maybe just tried it before? Has everyone just been too cautious? Has everyone been like, oh, I need to go to university, get my degree and do my studies in that? Because in Malta, we're very like, be realistic. Don't do things that aren't realistic.
I mean, if you had to check the stats of kids who drop off sports, I mean, you're into that PE and sports department, so I'm sure you see the drop-off of kids from 18, 19, just stop. And you're at 22, just out of nowhere.
But do you blame them? Because...
That is what you're explaining is basically the thought process of anyone who has like, okay, I need a secure future.
Exactly.
Especially in Malta. And this is the thing,
I'm hoping that as I hopefully had some type of influence with female athletes locally going into a strength sport, I hope I'll have some influence into athletes believing, or people, not just athletes in any industry, believing that there is a career in this industry.
Yeah.
You don't need to go to university, get your degree, do the 9-to-5 job. There is opportunities in this area, and you could actually make it. I had no one to really base it off of locally at all. So I really took a massive risk. But I'm hoping in the future people can see that, listen, this can be done. If you have a story to tell, if you feel like you can inspire and motivate others, then do so. Document it. Go for it. Speak to your followers like you have 1 million of them, and eventually it will grow. It will grow as if it is 1 million.
How did that transition, like, let's go back to Yaz 21, 22. How did you end up getting in this sphere so late? Like, what happened?
So I was always a very sporty child. A sports day at school, I'd win all the gold medals, like annoyingly sporty. I did gymnastics, swimming, judo, you name it, growing up. When I got into university then, like doing maths and statistics, that's when I kind of took a step back and thought, okay, I'm going to be realistic now. I'm going to, settle into my career, because I can't just be the sporty girl. I'm not going to get anywhere being the sporty girl. And at university, it was a bit like a stress on my body, in the sense that I was sitting down for very long hours, constantly studying, constantly hunched over a table. And someone in my uni course was like, listen, I'm going to like these classes really close by to university, straight after school. It's like an hour of exercise. You get exhausted. You'll love it. You should join me.
So you weren't training at this point?
No, I was doing
Nothing.
a bit of like, I'm going to shock you, a bit of like 5K runs.
What?
Yes, some air squats.
At 21?
Yes, like when I was at uni, that's the way I would exercise, go for a jog.
I can't picture you run, man.
I know, I can't picture
She went
you
from
run.
a 21-year-old running 5K to
I
squatting
know.
140 kilos.
160, please.
kilos. So
Mate.
that's nuts. You go from 5K runs
I
to
know, but I was still exercising. I always loved doing like exercise. I have to be active. And I went with my friends to this class, which was a CrossFit class. Eventually, I just got really addicted to going to these classes with him. After a long time, I kind of got the routine of the CrossFit classes. Like they would have some weightlifting, some gymnastics, some running. And I would only show up on the days when there was going to be weightlifting.
Oh, shit.
And the coach at the CrossFit class said, listen, if you want, I mean, we're seeing what you're doing. If you want, you can actually do weightlifting. Like you can go and train weightlifting. And I had no idea that was a thing. I didn't know doing just weightlifting was a thing. I didn't know it was available locally at all. So he got into communication with the national team coach. I did my first small competition where I failed all my snatches and clean and jerked 71. And the national team coach was like, listen, you do have some potential. You have a lot of work to do. You're very welcome to come and train with us. I'll help you improve if that's what you're looking to do. And that's basically it. It's skyrocketed from that. From nothing to like going to this national team gym every single day. Once summer came, I started training twice a day. And it has literally just not slowed down since.
Straight into it, man.
I'll give you a bit of a deeper question. It's like not on, maybe on the positive side of the kind of what we're talking about, but do you get like intrusive thoughts of maybe you say like, you tell yourself, maybe what if I had started at 9 years old, 8 years old, what Yazmin would she be today, like in weightlifting?
You'll never believe it. Jake asked me this like 2 days ago. He's like, if you had to go back in time, like at like 6 years old, but with the knowledge that you have now, would you live your life any different? Would you start earlier? Would you do it differently? And I was like, oh my God, this is a great question. And I really sat and thought about it. And I honestly, genuinely wouldn't.
No?
And I'll tell you why. My main aim in my life has always been to be a positive influence. I want to be able to inspire, be able to motivate, and be able to, in some way, make people around me happy. If I started earlier, I would have been a better athlete and I would have made my success bigger. Would it have brought my family happiness? Yes. But any more than it did now? No. My family would have been the happiest people in the world from breaking one national record, let alone becoming an Olympian. And I genuinely believe that I came to the point where I am now because I started at 22, because the odds were against me, because I had to work harder than everyone else. So I wouldn't change anything about my life because I don't think I would be exactly in the place I am now, and I wouldn't want to risk not being a positive influence in this way.
Yeah, that's
Love
a great
that.
answer.
Love that.
I didn't practice it, I promise.
It sounded like she's in the mirror, she's practicing it out, and she's
Because
ready to go.
it's bizarre.
so real,
Jake
you know?
asked me this 2 nights ago, and he was the same. Like when I said it, he's like, fucking hell, all right. Like he wasn't expecting such a...
I didn't have this question on the thing. I just literally
Oh,
thought
wow.
about it when, like, imagine, you know, you start at 11
But
or 8.
it's true.
You know?
It's true. Imagine.
It
like,
comes to your head, though. Does it come?
There's loads of... Yes, but I've never felt sad about starting at 22 because I think I got to the point where I am now because all those years of not doing a sport taught me other things. And again, at 22, I was like, Isma, the odds are against me. I need to work so much harder. I need to be the first one at the gym, last one out if I'm going to make it, or else I'm not going to work. Maybe that wouldn't have been my mindset if I started so young.
Maybe you wouldn't have got into content. Like if you were
No.
like such a full-on athlete.
Maybe I would have gotten sick of it way before.
Yeah.
And I would have never become an Olympian, so...
But even why I agree with Yaz's point of view is even, there's no point in continuing to think, what if, like, fuck it, it's not going to change anything. So it's more about, if you want to do it now. And there's this mentality of doing it tomorrow. You have to cut it out and just get to it, man.
It just goes to show that it's never too late. I mean, it
Exactly.
sounds super cheesy.
Yeah, it's cliche, but it's so true.
I was literally nowhere being an athlete at 22, Olympian at 28. Like, you put those things next to each other, you're like, okay, what happened in between? And it just goes to show that if you genuinely believe in something, mute out every negative comment coming from all around you and just put your head down and work harder than you ever thought you possibly could work, and not let a single day go by without giving it your 100%.
Tunnel vision, baby. Tunnel
Preach,
vision.
Yaz.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We're kind of trying to do the same ourselves. The past month or so, we're waking up at 5:30, at the gym at 6. At 8, we're out, go to work, working on all the projects that we have at the moment. At 6:30 to 8, we get our nice spa session, sauna, nice bath session to recharge. Then we're working from 8 till 10 and repeat. This month has felt like 3 months. And like I had said before on Bulletproof, myself, Scott, Andrew, Sean, full on, like, and now we have so much projects ongoing. So, I mean, you can relate because, I mean, I want to kind of dabble into the work ethic that you have, because when we're in London, you know, we see the content that you create, you know, with us. We see the content you create on your platform, but we don't see what goes on behind the scenes. And the fact that you're so hands-on, we're going into the cab, we're warming up, and you're literally editing, posting, and all this stuff. And like, I really want people to take away, and we'll have this conversation on sheer work ethic. Like, this is something that I didn't really know about you. You had this crazy work ethic that
It is crazy.
You take it for
I
granted.
know.
And she's one person, you know, we're
she's
3+.
She's got this
It's a
crazy tunnel
one-woman
vision.
show. It's a one-woman show. And a lot of people always ask, like, once they live it, once they're with me, and people are like, are you seriously still working at like 10 p.m.? Are you seriously still editing? Wait, you edit all that yourself? Wait, you film that yourself? I'm like, yes, I do it all myself, because it's the only people I've trusted really with telling my story is you guys, after a bit of time of getting to know me, because I want my followers to get my story how I tell it. I want them to get motivated by the things that I think they need motivated by. So if I get someone else to film me, edit, and, you know, tell their own story, that's what they think I want to say. But only I know what I want to say. So yes, I am the person who will wake up super early, film, edit everything herself. If I get a 5-minute chance, like sitting on the sofa while the boys set this up, I'm going to edit a video to get stuff done. So that is something that obviously I developed from being an athlete at a high level. You learn how to be efficient with your time, how to use every single minute to become a better version of yourself.
So the 22-year-old Yaz had this work ethic, or was it? Did it come into play when? Because we feel the same. It's like when you're doing something you don't maybe like as much. It's like now we're so hungry. We're working on so much lovely projects, and we're so hungry, and I think it comes from pouring that energy into the right thing, what you're doing. So I think maybe
this is actually something that is a very sensitive topic, in the sense that I think people who know me at 21, 22 know that I wasn't a very happy person, in the sense that I always felt like I was put in a situation, put in a world where I didn't fit in anywhere. And this was honestly a really big issue for me. I just felt like I had nothing in common with anyone around me. And I had friends, really good friends, who loved me, but I had nothing to talk to them about, in the sense that I didn't relate to, we had so much fun at the club last night. I hated it. I never went. Oh my God, we're going to go to the shops after school. I had nothing in common with anyone around me, and that really hurt me. And I was at uni doing my course, and I was always very good at maths, really good. So automatically, I did a degree in maths. I didn't enjoy it. I hated every single second of every single day me going to university. It made me so sad. But I did everything to try and fit in. So I wanted to become a mathematician. I wanted to be a statistician, like the people in my class. I would try to dig into the conversations with them. They would have passionate conversations, and this is where I realized my friends around me would have passionate conversations about maths, and I'd be like, oh my God, I wish I had this passion for what they're saying. Why don't I have this passion for anything? And it was so sad for me that I had nothing to be passionate about. And I didn't know it was just because I hadn't found it yet. At that point, I was just feeling like I didn't have a place. Yeah. And then as I found the sport and as I became an athlete, I was like, oh my God, this is who I am. I am an athlete. And my spirit all of a sudden, my energy became so different. And I became Yaz. Again, cheesy, beyond words, but it's true. My personality flourished from becoming an athlete. Yeah. And I became exactly who I was. And that's why I think my confidence boosted and all these things, because all of a sudden I woke up with a purpose.
Yeah, purpose, that's it.
With a story. I was Yazmin the athlete. Whereas before I was like, what am I? This is so weird. And even now, everyone around me, that's how they would describe me, because it is, I guess, in a way, my personality. I am Yazmin, the girl who's the athlete, who loves fitness, who likes to be strong. So in no way was I that person at 22. I was not motivated to go home and work on my maths assignments, definitely not. I mean, did I end up graduating in it? Barely, because I hated it. But I guess that work ethic flourished as my personality flourished into becoming an athlete.
So many people are like that. Honestly, I can really relate to the fact where you feel out of place or you just can't relate in the conversation with your friends.
Yes.
I think from a personal standpoint, it was always the case of I never looked into wanting to work for someone. I never wanted to sort of become part of the system. I was always imwarab, always put aside and always thinking and want to be creative and do something different. And obviously it's hard when you're 16, 17, 18 and trying to do things on your own and everyone's going one way and you're going the other way.
Exactly.
You start
Literally.
it obviously gets to you and you start to rethink some things, and your family as well, with a very traditional mindset where, what are you doing? Are you making money? If you're not making money, how are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? So I can relate a lot to that process.
So that is exactly the same thing in a completely different industry.
Yeah, for sure.
It's identical. It's an identical story. And eventually those relationships around you become stronger. So they go, but they take a step back because all of a sudden you're moving away from everyone's norm.
Yeah.
So all my friends were going out on Saturday night. I wasn't seen for months because of competitions. If we go out for dinners, I'm the one who's bringing out her weighing scale on the table. I'm embarrassing everyone on that table. So you start to move away from everyone's norm, but then eventually, because you have that identity, the people around you and that love you accept it, and those relationships become stronger. I mean, one of the most bizarre things for me is that my relationship with my fiancé started in the same week that I did my first weightlifting competition.
Before or after?
The week
before. Our first date was the Saturday before, and I competed on the Sunday of the week after. So this person knows me from not being an athlete whatsoever and grew with me as I became this athlete, as my personality flourished. And sometimes we'll laugh about it. He'll be like, you're not the person I went on a date with. Because that was when I was trying to fit in, when I was having drinks and trying to get drunk and trying to act cool. That's the person he went on a date with. And that's by far, not the person I am now. Yeah. So relationships around you will get stronger as you become more you. Even if they have to accept it and they have to allow you to grow, but they will get stronger.
I want to ask you a question on that in a second, but once we're just going to touch upon this, what is your advice from someone who has been through it, be it in fitness or in anything, to the people who really feel like they are going against the current? Because that I feel is the hardest part in life, where you're letting go of your friends and feeling involved, and you sort of feel completely alone.
I think you have to trust your gut instinct. If you know that what you're doing is for you, if you know that what you're doing is what you want to do, then stick to it. Accept that it's going to suck. I think that's one of the main things. You have to accept that it's going to be hard and it's going to suck. And there are days where you're going to regret it, but you have to push through. And I think that's where people who make it and people who don't start to distinguish themselves. People who make it push through those harder days, push through the days where they're like, oh, I can't do this anymore. I can't I'm going to give in to society and do what they're doing instead of what I thought I wanted to do. But I read somewhere recently that said, you have to disappear for a while to become successful in what you want to do. And I did that. I disappeared, not for a while, for years. I'm still making up for those years in the sense that my family members will sometimes forget to invite me to things because they're so used to not even inviting me, because I used to get angry at them for inviting me to a stupid dinner. As if I'm going to come to a dinner, I have to train tomorrow morning. I used to get angry at them. That now they're like, oh yes, by the way, oh my God, we forgot that you're okay with going out now because you're not in let's say a competition phase.
Hell mad.
Now, it's like I'm trying to balance out the two, but pre-Olympics, I disappeared. Was Yaz still around? No one will know. Even on my socials, I did take a step back. You have to disappear sometimes to make it to where you want to make it.
We realize it sometimes, us as Bulletproof, we'll be so focused on continuing to churn out. The momentum at the moment is mad. That we'll see a family member, a friend after 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, and they're like, oh, you're working on this, and this, and it's like we almost forget we're doing so much. And you see people stuck in the same place. The gap is growing. You feel more detached, but you feel that growth is fucking exponential.
The thing is when you go out on you go out to a bar and you meet people and they start talking about all the things that you've been working on, which is nice because people are actually giving a shit about what you're doing. But the thing is, when I meet someone, I want to listen to what they have to say.
Yes.
I don't want to say, we're working on this, and how are you doing? It's not like, I'm not trying to kind of,
I dread the Allura house training. Oh my God. Please, I've been at the gym for 8 hours. I don't want to talk about my training.
Exactly.
Plus, go on my Instagram. It's documented there. I don't need to tell you. I say this and I feel bad to say this because at the end of the day, people love what you're doing so much that they want to listen about it even more than you're already sharing about it.
It's one of the reasons why we keep on going, because people the thing is on socials, and you know it better than we do, is that you don't know who you're influencing physically.
No.
The other day we were at this sports conference for this new launch by the government and the councils. And it happened to me 2 weeks ago. And at the end of it, so everyone was in suit and tie, they were of the Olympic Committee. This was a whole ceremony thing. And there were this group of 6 young girls, and they came up to me. They're like, "Listen, can we take a photo with you?" And I was like,
"How bizarre!
How do they know who we are?" And you don't feel it on socials. You don't see this stuff.
It's surreal, man.
And the fact that you're impacting these 13, they were gymnasts, and in fact, as I spoke to them for a bit, and they're like, I'm like, "You serious? You actually want a photo with me?" Woo. 2 years ago, I wouldn't have dreamt of being in a position like this, and this really pushes us to keep on churning out content like this, valuable for people. And this is what we felt, and you felt as well, that we're posting so much training content, both of us, gym, fitness, that sometimes it's nice to give people this type of content, because imagine you're 16 years old, 18 years old, and you're stuck in a phase where you don't know what you're doing. This content, that what you're saying and what we are saying is gold to them. It will hopefully influence one. If it influences one person,
exactly,
it's more than enough.
And that's what I was talking about before.
Yeah.
For me, in my career, some of the proudest moments of my life are meeting people that would have said something like, "I started weightlifting because of you," and that is something that makes me so happy. I can't even explain it. Or, "I got motivated to try my first competition because of you." And sometimes I just sit and think, have I influenced someone from across the globe to do their first competition? That is why you keep going, and that is why I wouldn't change anything in my prior life, because what if I wouldn't have become this person? I love being this person, and if I have positive influence on one person, then I've done my job.
We're lucky to be in this age where I feel like technology hasn't taken over too much, but we can use socials as a tool.
So much.
So connected.
I used to be the same when I was 16, 17. I used to listen to Mike Thurston, Jeff Nippard, Steve Cook, and once when I was a big, huge Gymshark fanboy, like 3-4 years ago, and I had gone to this Gymshark lift event at Frankfurt, and I spoke to Steve Cook for the first time in real life, and it's a funny feeling, like you watch so much of their content,
exactly,
and it helped you so much get into training, get into gym, the right advice, that when you're there, you're like, I know you, but you don't know me. It's a funny feeling, and I think it's
But it would have meant so much to you to meet this person.
You know, and it's like, I know the person like so well, because their voice sounds like I've listened to it for hours, and they're in front of me. So it's a bit of this surreal feeling that socials create. And I think maybe it happened to the girls as well, because they listen to us speak on camera. And I'm sure it happens to you. Remember, we had the beach pop-ups, and there was this girl who came up to Yazmin. She listens to, she follows Yaz.
So when that happens, in the beginning I used to be like, oh, I may don't want a photo with me. That's exactly, hilarious. Don't.
I was like, you're serious?
I used to almost be a bit like embarrassed in a way. Like, come on, you don't want a photo with me. This is really weird.
I thought it was a piss take.
But eventually I started to think, if a person that I loved and followed so much did that to me, I would have been like, oh, like, they don't understand how much they like motivate me or inspire me. So I think it's very important to, in fact, at that beach pop-up, I made sure to stop like the filming at that point. I wanted to take a photo with this girl, because I don't know how much it means to her. What if that photo with me made her day? I can't take that away. I would never take that away from her.
Maybe she started weightlifting.
Maybe she started weightlifting. Can you imagine?
Gym, or anything.
Anything. Even if it just motivated her to get through her homework. For me, I would have done my job. So I will always make sure that these people that are putting all their effort, a lot of their effort into supporting me, following me, and then being excited to see me, I will never, ever put that aside and not give them my 100%.
Yeah. And this is insane. And just to touch upon what you were saying, like, all right, meeting these people and you feel like you know them, I think that really struck a chord in me when we had gone to the lifting club, we had gone to Gymshark, and the first person we saw from the rain was Ben Francis, like literally the first person.
That was
it's raining and we're in, and he's like, guys, come in. And he's getting his card, he's opening for us. And at that moment, you forget. It's like you really know the guy. Like we spoke to him, shook his hand, you know, and then we went up, and then I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like literally, what on earth just happened? So, all right, even when you go abroad and you can't see these people, now it was like, okay, the hard work, we're doing something right? Because now we're actually there, we're actually training there, we're creating content there, and we're meeting all of these people like Meg.
You and Drew are totally gobsmacked. Now Drew's always with the camera in his hand, and he was like...
Yeah, we didn't film it. We did the one thing we didn't film. Drew, that was the one thing
I don't think you were. I don't think Drew
guy's photo. Yes, was just so.
I came out of the camera. There's Ben Francis casually walking up.
I thought he was joking. I was like,
he's like, all right, Ben, which in Maltese is like, look, there's Ben. I'm like, you know, hilarious. And he's like, come in, man.
No fucking way. And the first person, we were traveling for 2.5 hours from London to Birmingham. We arrived, the cab just parks by the entrance. We get out of it. Ben Francis comes out. Like, in what world? Like, you have two HQ, you have the IQ, you have the HQ, you have the lifting club. The first person we bump into is Ben Francis.
And that's when you realize, like, all this work, all this detaching from everything and really focusing and on that tunnel vision, really manifesting what you're working on, can then eventually lead to something like that. That is mad. And I think we've always felt like this, even and Drew can relate, Sean can relate. Before starting Bulletproof, it was already like, we're going to do a big thing. And it was a bit naive in the sense that we hadn't even started. But we already knew that what we're going to create is one day going to go somewhere, is one day going to reach, you know, hundreds of thousands of people, is one day going to hopefully change the industry and the way people think. And we haven't even started, and we're focusing on this year as the kickoff year, the takeoff for us. So it's already mad how 2.5 years ago we were already feeling like this. It still feels like,
even more now. It's like very that, exciting. Every day we have 4 or 5 meetings and people are throwing us new ideas. And 2022 was a year for us where we kind of had to learn the ropes of operations, how you be a leader and how not. Like us 3 guys, 24 years old, and no idea how to run a team. And now slowly we're managing to kind of get over that kind of hurdle, and now we're looking in front of us, and we now have a very capable team of 10 people who are all into fitness, understand socials, are young, have that same excitement and energy, and that's kind of we end up attracting the same people. So we post on socials, we get 25 applicants. I interview all of them and they're all flipping, love what we're doing, have that energy, and it becomes really hard to choose the right person. But at the end of the day, when you attract that vibe, that feeling, people want to kind of work in that environment. We inspire so many people, even people who were never really like into work or into like fitness and
fitness,
content.
So
and
many people.
We have a meeting with them and we spark something for them. And that spark, and then they reach out to us next week. They call us like, listen, let's get on this or let's get on that. And I think obviously from your socials, because you're way more vocal than us, but this is kind of where we this year are going to focus on being more vocal with what we're doing and really document our journey as the founders of Bulletproof. Because it was always having the athletes on the pedestal, which we still want to keep on creating, but now it's time to really get the story behind, because people ask us, why aren't you like documenting as much? And using you as a good example, like when we were in London, you're always document. And now it's like we're getting used to the camera, so that's very good. So we're slowly making our way up. We're going up to London again. We're going to shoot some really cool content with 20 athletes. You might be coming up, no, Yaz?
Maybe. It's still in the process of confirmation.
It's probably out already.
Yeah, it could be. The content might already be out today. Yaz might be snatching something in a farm, maybe, who knows? Maybe she's snatching a cow, who knows? But let's
even that as a conversation was mad, and this is where it's sort of like we have this saying that it's a circle, everything is connected. Once you start to really realize and make 1 + 1, you start to realize how everything is interconnected. And obviously we had gone up to London with you. We went to Gymbox, and there was a friend of yours, Norin, a weightlifting athlete as well, GB, she's super. And we filmed some quick content. Drew got the camera out, Drew does what Drew does. And we went to Nando's, and before you know it, we're having a chat with her, and she's like, hey guys, I love what you guys are doing. I also work at PhD, and obviously we'd love to create some content together. And that was, start to see this story play out in front of your eyes, if that makes sense, which is quite surreal. And now hopefully we'll be going up every month.
I think a lot of our industry is networking. So sometimes you have to get out. You have to get out, meet new people, communicate, make new friends, because a lot of these things are networking, and you will stay stuck where you are if you just stay where you are in a way and just always film the same thing, whatever. I started networking before networking was part of my business plan in a way, because I love meeting new people and I use it to learn. And we spoke about this quite a bit when we went for that lunch. Sometimes I just want to meet a person, not for any business opportunity, but just so I can take something back and learn from it. Yeah. And I think that trip in Colombia example for me, when I did the hosting for the World Championships, I've never done any type of work that's like journalistic based. And when I was there, I met with a journalist who's a sports journalist. I mean, I'm not going to become a sports journalist, I think. I don't know, just in case I become a sports journalist.
We'll see about that.
But I learned so much about the way they think. And as a person who wanted to be a host and wants to eventually take up being a host in the future as well for like sporting events, I learned so much about the way they think and what to ask and how to be appropriate about the way you ask it, how to research, all these things that I would have never learned from anywhere else at the degree that I did over there.
Yeah.
Because this was within my industry, within my sport. And I became such good friends with him, and it was such a learning experience. And when I came back, everyone told me, like, how was it? And it was such a learning experience in so many areas. And networking is great for that reason. You grow as a person.
Yeah. I have a quick question. Just so, like, we were talking about how this year we're really focusing on this being our takeoff year. How did Yazmin Zammit Stevens grow internationally as an athlete? What was that jump?
I wish I could tell you.
Which year maybe? Because I remember,
I would say COVID.
Yeah.
COVID year, people started to discover me. But it's mostly because I gave a lot more effort to my socials. So pre-COVID, I would post once a week.
Yeah, like 20,000 followers maybe.
I remember before we launched.
18,000.
You were 22,000 before we launched.
Okay,
like and now you're 200,000, no?
Almost 200,000.
That's bloody 10x.
I have a very good point about what you were mentioning before of the lunch. Remember we were talking about your TikTok?
Yes.
And how your TikTok was like at 7,000 followers. And
How-
your,
and how
your
much
Instagram
I-
was at your 140,000. And the networking we had that day was like, your takeaway message was, we literally hounded you about
Yes,
TikTok.
to
I
get-
spent the
to get
whole
on
hour.
TikTok.
Oh yes, get the fuck on TikTok. Get the
Yes,
flip on TikTok.
I know,
And,
I know.
And we've been telling you for 2-3 months before. So we're telling you from June, from the beach pop-up event, from the summer sunset fitness. We're telling you, yes, TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. And there was a bit of that.
No, you were so against
So
it.
I am.
You were so against it.
I was a nana
You're so
about
against it.
TikTok. I was
Exactly.
an old lady about TikTok. For me, I had invested so much of my time and effort into understanding Instagram, understanding YouTube, that all of a sudden this new app came up that all the kids were using. And I say this like I'm 55 years old. But as a 29-year-old going to be 30, I was just like, do I have the effort for this? Like, do I have the time for this? And when you scroll through it, it's so chaotic. TikTok is so chaotic that I never properly got into it. But after speaking with people like you guys, people from the brands that I work with that are like, listen, TikTok is where it's at. You're going to want to have TikTok if you're thinking of continuing your career in content creating. And I just thought, you know what? If I do anything, I do it all out or not at all. So once I got TikTok, I'm like, okay, what do you need to do to be successful at TikTok? Post 3 times a day? Post 3 times a day, every single day, no fail. And that's what I did. And when I met you guys, I was doing that, but I didn't see much reward from it.
You were at 7,000 followers.
Yes.
6,000, man.
7,200
We had
something.
the same amount of following on
Yes.
TikTok because we just started gaining 1,000 a month back then. And we were talking about Bali because I was going to Bali.
Yes.
And literally, I went up for 3 weeks. When I came back, you were
Yes.
at around 100,000
I
followers.
know.
So before I went 7,000, 3 weeks after. And when I was there, I'm saying, what the fuck is going on? Yes, this video went up to 10 million views and you gained followers on there. So it's like now, today, before we sat down, you're like, TikTok is the shit. I am on TikTok more than Instagram.
Yes.
3 months later.
That was 3 months. man.
Yes. The thing about TikTok is once I got over how chaotic it is, once the chaos calmed down in my head because I started to understand
You got
it
it.
more, I was like, I like TikTok. I like how effortless and unfiltered it is because that's me. I am unfiltered. I'm going to say it as it is, unedited, not needing it to be as aesthetic as possible. Just post whatever you have to say and just put it out there. So I was like, so TikTok is a lot of me. I could be great on TikTok. And the good thing about TikTok is that it snowballs. So once it goes, it just does not stop. You keep on giving, it'll keep on giving you back. And I'm honestly enjoying my time on TikTok so much. So at the moment, I'm on 147,000
On TikTok?
followers, yes.
And you gained a lot on Instagram as well.
And true,
From that
especially
video?
from the first
Yeah.
viral video that hit close to 14 million now.
You gained like 30,000 on Instagram.
I gained a good portion
That's
on
mad.
Instagram
That's
as
mad.
well. So they do go hand in hand. And I think what it helped mostly with is that there's 2 sides of me. There's the unfiltered, unedited side of me, where there are certain things I just want to put out there. That goes on TikTok. But then there's another side of me that's all about aesthetics and filming in a certain way. And I do love that. I do love like a slow-mo lift with like an aesthetic background, some aesthetic text. That's more Instagram. You know what I mean?
Drew's,
So it's
Drew's
like,
listening in right now.
but it is. And all of a sudden it was like, okay, so actually I can use both platforms to be able to share both sides of me. And things that are very TikTok aren't Instagram, things that are very Instagram aren't TikTok. So, and also for my followers, some people are more interested in the TikTok Yaz, in that fast, unedited version of me. And some people are more into that more aesthetic side of my type of content. So this way they have 2 channels. You either follow both, you either follow neither, you follow either or. I think the narrative I get the most, and I hate it because it's not true, is how lucky you are. Excuse me? Lucky. Luck had nothing to do with it. I worked so hard to get to where I am. How lucky you are to get sponsored by this brand and that brand. Like, not lucky at all. Do I have a team that works as hard as me? Q Snorri, yes.
Yeah, that's actually one of my next questions.
Yes.
How did you become a Gymshark athlete?
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, a lot of it was thanks to my manager, Snorri. We found each other. Well, he found me. back in 2021, in the beginning of 2021. I was training in Romania at that time, hoping to go to the Olympics. So this was quite, in the beginning of like before my channels blew up, like totally. And Snorri is a very similar person to me, and we clicked immediately. I had been approached by managers or some type of manager from before several times, but something clicked with Snorri in the sense that we had the same values, we had the same mindset. And for him, it was like priority is me being an athlete, doing my training, but also being genuine in what I do. So for him, it was like, if you had to be sponsored by an apparel brand, who would it want it to be? And I lolled and was like, Gymshark, what I mean. He's like,
fangirl.
We'll see. Honest, swear to God, I told him that. And when we get him on the podcast, ask him. I said Gymshark, but be honest, like anyone else would be like, but as if, but that would be the absolute dream. And he said, well, I believe in your content. I think you're such a genuine person. I love the journey you're on. You're the type of person who I think Gymshark would be interested in. And poof. Chances were, Gymshark were actually interested. I remember Snorri calling me. I was in the car, answered it on my Bluetooth device, but I was like driving from the gym back home. And he said, yes, good news. I got you a meeting. I'm like, cool, with who? He's like, Gymshark. And I laughed. I was like, oh yeah, with who? With Gymshark. I was like, I had to stop on the side. I'm like, I'm gonna have to call you back. I sat there like, this is happening. This is literally happening. I mean, everyone can relate. Maltese people especially, we love Gymshark. Like everyone at the gym is wearing Gymshark. Like you get a set of Gymshark and you live in it. You're obsessed with it. So at that point I was like, is this literally happening? From there I just realized that me and Snorri just bounced off each other in the sense that we would just make things work. Like we would just make things happen. We would work tirelessly for each other to make things happen. And his reward from me would be me making sure I look great. Like you got me that partnership with Gymshark. I'm gonna make sure to fulfill fulfill my tasks or fulfill my expectations completely. Yeah. Be the best version of myself. Any content they need done, obviously that's like the least difficult thing to do. But I want to represent this brand in the best way possible, and I'll make sure to do that to make my manager look good and make the brand look good. And it just flourished from there. It's just been an ever-growing positive relationship.
What's funny is you haven't even met him yet.
No, and crazy.
You're working on so many new partnerships with him and around him.
I mean, we talk all the time.
It's mad, though.
Like, I was just messaging him now, but
it's fucking mad.
We're on Zoom all the time. We call each other, we text all the time. But no, I've never seen him in person, and hopefully I'll be seeing him very, very soon for an event we're doing in Malta.
Crazy, man. It's so connected. Things are so easy. It's so accessible, man.
Like,
so good.
COVID really taught us about how you can actually leverage, these Zoom calls, working hybrid, remote. As much as I like being physical, because I think nothing beats physical, and that's like no matter what AI comes into play, no matter what technology comes to play, physical is always champion. We are biologically.
But look at how much can be done.
Yeah, but
and this is what bothers me.
Leverage the tools like we were talking about before, social media, AI. Eventually, let's leverage it to our advantages. Yes, there could be disadvantages to it, but we focus on the 100% of the advantages and 0% of the disadvantages. We try. It's hard.
And this is the thing, that there's so much opportunities today that it kills me. It honestly eats me alive when I see people who are just lazy or shy away from it, or they don't even take the opportunity to try to do something. I hate seeing it, man. Like, it's so easy. It could be right there. You could fucking touch it and taste it, And they're like, oh no, because this, or this excuse, or this, or,
We're having a chat with a very successful entrepreneur yesterday who's in his 50s. And we're talking about AI and all of this stuff. And he obviously had his degree and everything. He's like, university is going to become redundant. They have to completely restructure the education system.
It's about time, man. It's about time.
Because there's so much opportunity. And the thing is, what we realize is even when we went to the UK with you, there's, funnily enough, no one like us. No 3-4 guys with all this energy just creating content around fitness. And my God, the world is 8 billion people full. And we are 3-4 guys just going around, roaming around, shooting with athletes, sharing our passion for fitness. And it goes to my point of people like really need to take this home, There's so much. You have the internet. All you need is connection to Wi-Fi and a good mindset. And it can take you anywhere.
And content is just like, in general, it can go both ways. It can be such a great career opportunity. But it also has its negatives as well. And I think to make it in content, you have to be the person who's not affected at all by the negatives. And I think I really am. Like, thankfully, I have a lot more people that talk nicely to me and say nice things about me, thankfully. But of course, you do get the negatives as well. But I find it very easy to not care about these people I don't know hiding behind the screen trying to put you down.
You have to, though.
But it's not for everyone. If you're very affected by it, you can't do it.
In my opinion, this is anything. This is social media, this is work, this is career, this is lifestyle. If you are slightly, just remotely a bit of a savage and you fucking want it, if you want it, you'll get it.
Yes.
Especially with how soft everything is today, you know, everyone's so lazy, everyone's so, you know, closed-in. That if you fucking want it, it's fucking yours to take. Whatever it is, man.
It's like the more you do, just do. Okay, you're gonna get a hate comment. It might get to you. Do. Then the more you do, the less these things get to you. It's like over time you build layers of resistance,
you
layers
prioritize,
of,
man.
You know, even the fact that, I don't know, when it's the same thing with training, you know, you do, you get stronger, you do. So the more you do, and people, this is the thing, they're just not doing enough. And the more you do, the more you create opportunity. I mean, you might not have the 5-year vision and goal, which obviously manifestation is important, but having this kind of actionable focus, even when you might not have the clear direction, that is already a start. And then through the ways, you'll obviously get to the right direction.
You have to want it, man.
Yeah.
You have to really want it.
And you have to be ready. You have to be ready to, because you're talking about doing, you know, not stopping. And it's not about doing stuff when you feel like it or when you're great at it. It's about continuing doing that stuff when you really don't feel like, when you look like shit, when you have nothing to talk about, and just still being honest and being
Scott
like...
today called me at 8 a.m. He's like, bro, I'm too sick. You're going to have to do this on your own. And now he's here.
Yeah.
So no matter the circumstance.
But it's the same in any industry. So even in my training, on the days where I felt great and I wanted to lift heavy, it was easy to show up. It's showing up when it's not easy to show up. And I think that's what distinguishes the people that make it versus the people that don't.
Even just being in this conversation, I was so sick in bed. I was like, there's no way I'm going to get in front of a camera and have this conversation. And once you're in it, just when that passion kicks in, that fucking, you know, release of endorphins and everything in your brain is, I'm not even sick.
But not just that. Sometimes you can just be, I mean, many times I'm like on camera, I'm like, okay, guys, so I'm in a really bad place today mentally, like something happened to me personally. I just started to realize that people are very okay with knowing that I'm not always okay. But obviously this took years to be able to perfect. I suffered a lot in silence when I was embarrassed that I suffered with anxiety, when I spoke to no one about it, because in my head I always thought that anxiety was a sign of weakness, so I didn't want to tell anyone about it. I suffered a lot in silence. Nowadays, where so many people come up to me and they're like, I'm so glad you spoke about anxiety. I'm so glad how normal it is, how normal you talk about it, and how normal it makes me feel. All of a sudden I'm like, great. This just takes off so much off my shoulders. If I'm feeling like shit today, I can be honest with my followers and they're going to be okay with it.
You
How
brought
great
a real
is that?
side. Because what happens on social is everyone covers the bad stuff.
Yes.
And just you see a fake reality.
Yes.
So this fake reality really perpetuates onto a lot of people, and the fact that you at least communicate the fact that you're having a bad day makes you feel, oh shit, I mean, there are people.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I'm not even able to do it.
Yeah, 100%.
And sometimes it takes me a week to be able to talk about it. And especially in 2021, pre-Olympics, when I had to get a wrist surgery, and I was probably at my lowest lows. I think I suffered in silence. I didn't speak about it for months on end. It was only after the Olympics that I was able to sit down and be able to say the words. So I don't want to bring the message across that sometimes you suffer with anxiety, sometimes you're in a dark place, but it's okay, you can just talk about it. Sometimes you can't talk about it. So the good thing about it is that as time went by, I realized that even I don't need to suffer alone. I can speak to the people around me. I can detach myself a bit from socials, because the people that love me and follow me are not going to be like, we hate her, she's not posting. They'll be like, maybe something's up. Let's give her space. She'll eventually talk about it.
We thought of the same thing when there was that period of 2021. You had done those 3 months with the wrist surgery, and all of a sudden were like working, and Drew gets a call from you, like, whoa, what's going on? And we were like, wow, like that was crazy when we received that call about the Olympics, and I was next to Drew.
Still probably the best day of my entire life.
I still remember Drew in the office. He literally puts on the phone. He's like, guys, he's going to the Olympics. And
oh
like,
my God.
What
I still get shivers thinking about it.
And Drew didn't even think twice, like, we need to create some content. We need to create something now.
And
like,
you were
now.
so quiet because you had spent that whole 2-3 months period.
Yeah, so I was training. So that was a hard time for me because I was training to go to the Olympics with zero indication that I was going to the Olympics, with a 99.9% chance that I wasn't going to the Olympics. So I had to be in a mindset of an opportunity that I wasn't sure was happening. And for years, I manifested that happening. And leading up to it with COVID, my wrist surgery, loads of other things happening in my personal life, it seemed less and less likely. And it broke me because I had dedicated so much of my life for this one goal. And that day, getting that news was more than me going to the Olympics. It was more than my dream coming true. But it was being able to give back to my family more than anything. And I remember the number one thing I was most excited to do was tell my family. And at the time I was like isolating because of COVID. So I was in my own part of the house, never even seeing my parents, my sisters, Jake, no one. And when I got these news, I just ran downstairs, and everyone, as soon as they saw my face, they knew what happened. And the thing is, just to put things into perspective, my dad once, when I was very, very young, I had asked him, like being the child that I was, like, what would you do if like we won the lottery? And he's like, you think I would just be happy because I win the lottery? And like, I'd be happy if you do something like, I don't know, go to the Olympics. That would make me the happiest man in the world, not money. And I just thought, after all these years, I'm making my dad the happiest person in the world.
Yeah,
and
mad.
I see it now after years of going to the Olympics, how proud my parents are. I mean, of me and my sisters as well. They're proud of all of us. But when they talk about me specifically, they will talk about, oh, this is my daughter, she's an Olympian. Everyone has to know, you know? They're so proud of it. My picture's up in the living room. I don't know, it just gave my family, my athlete family, an identity. We are an Olympian family.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, moving on to this point, like let's get real now. Talking about your sporting career, you know, we were just talking about Olympics. You're turning 30 this year. Mm-hmm. Now, how much longer do you see yourself compete for? You're getting married as well in a couple of months' time. What are your next big weightlifting career goals? Because I think it's a question on everyone's mind.
Yes. So I had always set the goal for my last competition to be the next Commonwealth Games, which will be in 2026.
Oh, so you'll be 32?
Yes. So I set that as my probably retiring goal. Obviously, with the break this year, it's less likely that I compete for the major competitions early on. But I'm in no rush. That is my final goal. That is the one I want to do the best at. And to be fair, I've done all the major competitions, all of them, Worlds, Europeans, Universiade Games, Mediterranean Games, Commonwealth Games, Olympic Games. So I want to do a competition now, not just to participate, but to properly compete. So what I'll do in between, I don't know. But I think I've said that as my retiring competition. Having said this,
the last dance.
Having said this, I said this about Tokyo Olympics. So I might do that
2024
and be like,
Paris.
You never know. You never know. I am in a different headspace, and I think we need a whole podcast about that. Next week, tomorrow. a whole podcast about my new mindset about training.
When you're done and dusted from your weightlifting career, what is next? Do you have a couple of things in mind?
Yes.
Spill the tea,
I have
man.
a lot of projects in mind related to weightlifting, related to the sports industry. But I have not yet decided how I'll go about it, and I'm not sure. I'm very go with the flow, because if I wasn't, I would never be where I am now. So I try not to set targets for too far along. I'll just see where it takes me.
So Yaz needs to head off really quickly. We have 2 quick fire questions.
Okay.
The first one is, We spoke about this a bit last time in London, and I said I need to jot this down. Have you ever considered doing OnlyFans? Will you be the first Olympic athlete to open an OnlyFans account?
I don't know about being the only Olympic athlete had I have to do it. I'm not on OnlyFans, so I don't know. No, I've never considered it. As in, I've thought about it and I've always gone into, no, that's not something I want to do. I don't know if you want more details about my thought
Show's face behind the camera is like, what the fuck? You thought about it though. You thought about it.
I thought about it in the sense that I could maybe do it differently. Obviously, there's many ways you could do an OnlyFans. It's not the stereotypical way that people just see OnlyFans.
I thought you didn't know.
In a tasteful way. Oh.
What is OnlyFans?
I thought you didn't know.
OnlyFans is creating content for only the people who want to pay for it and see it. So realistically, it could just be a picture of my face. But unfortunately, there's still a bit of a stereotypical thing around OnlyFans, and I think I do not need to charge people for the content I am creating to show them at the moment. So at the moment, that's how I feel about it. I wouldn't charge them for the information I'm giving them. So why would I need an OnlyFans?
Imagine she takes OnlyFans so differently. Like what you expect versus what she actually goes on OnlyFans for. It's like these super premium Olympic tips on weightlifting.
I mean, you could do that, but then, so that's the only way I would have gone about it, really.
Or a complete other way as well.
And don't get me wrong, I am not against the people who use OnlyFans for whatever reason they do it. It's their life.
You don't have to buy it, you know?
You don't have to use it. And
yeah.
I mean, everyone has their own content to create. And if some people want to create the more, let's call it erotic type of content, then go ahead, you do you. I'm not against it at all. Is it for me? I don't think so.
What if someone tells you make 5x of what you're currently making?
I don't think so.
That's tempting,
I believe there's always
Starts
a
to
price
shift,
on
you know?
everyone.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Offer it to me and we'll see.
If you make $1 million a year.
$1 million a year.
We'll clip this one day
I don't know.
for another day. Maybe
She said,
one day
I
when you
don't
start
think so.
OnlyFans.
Give me the contract and
Anyway,
we'll talk.
Yes, and I want commission on this question because it might blow on socials.
Commission on this question. Damn!
Oh my
What
God.
are you going to ask me?
No, on that question, but this is more of an opposite question, and we spoke about it last time. You're 30 years old. Mm-hmm. Do you want kids in the next coming 3 to 5 years?
I don't know.
And why don't you know?
Because I genuinely don't know. I am very against asking that question. I'm not offended by your question, just to put that out. But I am against that question to women because would you ask that to a man?
Why not?
Would you?
I would.
Unfortunately, more women turning 30 are asked that question, and sometimes it's just not in their plan. I am not saying it's not in my plan. I am saying that I genuinely don't know. At this current point in time, both me and Jake are not in a place where we want to have children, in the sense that we have our own projects, our own life, and it would be unfair to include a child into that storyline. We wouldn't be able to continue the plan we have. Is it something we will want in the future? I think so, yes. When? I don't know. So that's my response, is that I think I do want a family. You know what scares me?
Imagine you have a young jazz weightlifter.
You know what's the only thing that scares me? It's not the child, the taking care of the child, the responsibility. And I'm not trying to say that I know anything about it, but I can only imagine the responsibility, and I'm not scared of that. I am scared, maybe scared isn't the more appropriate word, but let's go with it, of the pregnancy, because I can't sit still for 5 minutes.
No, I didn't think of it like I literally didn't have that perspective in my head.
So how am I'm obviously still going to train twice a day. Can I train twice a day? Hopefully. I've seen so many athletes that I follow that fell pregnant, that's not the way to say it, that became pregnant and trained through their pregnancy. Some of my favorite athletes were incredible to watch. Like, they are amazing. Like, I've seen some athletes, most recently Emily from Great Britain, who trained throughout her pregnancy, did it with grace, looked amazing, back now with a newborn child already in the gym. Like, I look at that, I'm like, fuck yes, man. You guys are motivating me.
Imagine you start seeing her snatch pregnant.
That's
and
insane.
Completely different.
I know a girl
That's insane.
who clean and jerked 100 kilos at 9 months
Oh my
pregnant.
God.
Incredible what women can do.
The kids coming out with double biceps, man.
Literally. So
Double biceps.
it's more of I will want children, I think. And this is gonna sound very selfish, but I mostly want children because I love what me and my sisters have and me and my parents have. Me, my parents, and my sisters are the bestest of friends. We are such a close family. And I want that for me in the future, which sounds very selfish, I know, but that's one of the main reasons I want children.
Not
Is
selfish.
that really bad?
Not selfish at all. And you answered Adam's
I
question.
think
Yes.
she wants 3 girls then.
A weightlifter or a barber?
A weightlifter or a barber? Maybe both.
Good
Maybe
answer.
both. I don't know what I'd prefer. I wouldn't prefer anything.
Or
To be fair.
imagine the girl will be a hairdresser and the guy will be the weightlifter.
Just to put this out there, Jake, my fiance, is a twin, and his older sisters are twins as well.
Double twins?
They're double
Double twins?
Yes.
Oh,
Would
so
I
you
be
could have
able-
a twin.
Kudos to
So you could have a
Tina,
twin.
his mom, for raising double twins. I need to do it one at a time, I think.
Double yes. Oh my
Good luck,
God.
Jake and Yaz.
Yes,
Oh,
twice.
oh my God.
Crazy.
I think those are
Were
the-
those your quick fire questions? Those were easy.
I have one more. I have another question. Yes, how much do you make as a fitness content creator?
Okay, now we're getting spicy. I make a decent amount, and let's just say it's
1 million.
more than what I would have made as a mathematician working in an established betting company. Is the work harder? Maybe, yes.
Good answer.
If we have 1 month left to live, what would you do in those 30 days?
Oh my God, that's a bit dark. Very sad question as well. If I have a month to live, I would spend it exactly the way I'm spending it now, I think. I genuinely feel like I'm living my best life, and I live every day doing what I love doing, surrounded by the people that I love, surrounded by the people that I want to be surrounded by. Again, this is something that I've been doing ever since. Like, I have this new mindset as well. So I think I would spend it in exactly the same way I am now.
Oh, you love us too much, yes.
Not that, just skip this part.
Who are we getting next? Who are we inviting?
I think I want to get Snorri on this podcast. Snorri is my manager, but he's also the manager of one of the most established CrossFitters in the world, which is Sarah Sigmundsdottir. Also Bjorn Gudmundsen, another super established CrossFitter, and he mostly manages CrossFitters, okay? I think I'm his only non-CrossFit athlete. But he manages some of the best CrossFitters in the world, and he's been in this industry for very long. And I think getting the insight of an athlete manager would be super interesting for us and for whoever's
Totally
listening
agree.
in.
Snorri, we're coming for you, mate.
Let's go, Snorri.
I think I should tell him, eh? Snorri, hey Siri, call Snorri.
Yes, we've been talking about this podcast for a long time. A super way to close it off, and hopefully this will be the first of many. If you had to pick any 3 people to have on this podcast, anyone in the world, who would your 3 people be?
Ben, obviously.
Full names, please.
Ben Francis of Gymshark.
Question of Nike.
Like absolutely anyone from, doesn't have to be sports.
Usain Bolt. It's gonna be sports, say it's me.
Yeah.
And this will never ever happen. Walter Disney.
Okay.
Those are my 3.
I'm going to say 2, just
on.
in terms of from a Bulletproof perspective. I would love to have David Goggins, 1. I would love to speak to David about everything. The brand name also got inspired by David. Another person is Wim Hof. I would love to have a conversation
Trying again, Ostia.
with Wim Hof. Wim, man, you fucking call me, bro. What the fuck? So those are my 2 right now. And if I had to pick a 3rd one, who would I pick?
Yazmin Zammit Stevens.
I think I would pick, no, there's 2 more. I would pick Dana White and I would pick Serena Williams.
No, you have to pick one of them.
Dana White,
Okay, you.
for sure.
Me?
3.
Oof.
Stick to 3, don't cheat.
I have no clue. Someone young our age who does content, Jesse James West, is smashing it. So I think someone young who can just have a bro conversation with. And then maybe we can go really crazy with like someone like Elon Musk.
Ooh.
You know, like Elon Musk has, God knows what he knows that we don't know. So maybe if we even cut the camera, it's more than enough for us.
No, so.
Yeah, it could be. I'm trying to think maybe someone local or maybe someone...
Guys behind the cameras, anyone you would love to bring on if you had to choose anyone?
Arnold would be good.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, yeah? That's a good shout. Get to the chopper!
Like imagine like a pod. Arnold, Wim, and us.
Fucking right.
That's mad. That's fucking mad.
But if you had to pick someone local, that's not yours truly.
Local. Why I would have to have a conversation with locally? I know who. I would choose Robert Abela right now. I'd love to discuss the whole sports and fitness, what he envisions for Malta in the next 10 years. That's my vote.
No, Robert Abela, definitely.
That's
man.
my vote.
I want Robert.
I'll get him on the next one, okay?
Get him, just give him a call. He was going to come to Roll of Honors.
Yeah. It was very close. The last minute
Very,
is like,
very close.
not going to make it. You're not going to make it.
Yes, there are a few people that I'll definitely be bringing up on this podcast locally. Some people that I would have are either my friends or people that I met along the way, maybe people I met once at some type of event that I would have felt that inspired me or motivated me in some way. And I would want them to share their story, I think.
Go on then.
Let's just keep it like that, just to get people a bit more excited about what's to come, not naming too many names in case they don't want to
You
come.
know who I would
speak
want
to
on a
us.
podcast? Because now I'm thinking. Jordan Peterson.
Mad.
Guys, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know any of the people you just mentioned.
Or Andrew Tate.
He's
That
arrested,
would be
no?
an interesting podcast.
We'd have to go to Romania and speak through the glass thing.
With Sky Scanner, eh?
Okay, guys, so I'm gonna love you and leave you because I'm going from one microphone to the next on my rest today. This is my rest today. This is how I rest.
Let's go.
Love it. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. The first of many. This was the Bulletproof podcast.
Guys,
with
if you have any
Yaz.
feedback for any of us, leave it in the comments below because we want to keep on improving every single pod.
And if there's anyone you would like us to bring on as well.
Comment.
Thank you so much to Yaz for being involved in
My
this.
pleasure.
Like and subscribe.
And good day.